But we have Gearoid Veale and, or Gearoid Veale, I should say, and John the Brick Wood. And chess-wise, actually, last time we saw John, that was over quite quickly, and I think he would have been working very hard on his chess.
Yes,
in
absolutely.
The interim.
Absolutely. No, John is a lovely guy. Come to chessboxing quite late in life. Really, really interesting history. Worked as a bricklayer, currently works as an architect. He's a boxer in his 60s, which is just phenomenal. He's fitter than I am, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see this one. I really hope that John gives a really good account of himself in the chess, because he deserves it. He's a top bloke.
Absolutely.
He's a top bloke. And I think we might be going to the fight preview.
Absolutely. It's over to Gemma again to introduce these two fascinating fighters.
I'm fighting John the Brick. I've fought him before and I've beat him.
Yeah, I know him. My first chess boxing. He won, of course, in the chess, but I think I probably won in the boxing.
I'm a much better chess player than him. Boxing-wise, I think we're pretty even. The sport was perfectly designed for me, yeah.
I am getting better. I'm feeling quite confident now. I've had a couple of good training sessions. I've got to be fit this time because he's better than he was last time. And if I am fit, I'll feel quite confident.
He has trouble with fitness sometimes. He's one of the more technically good boxers at the club.
If the boxing went on for 3 rounds and I was getting confident in the chess, then I might have a chance. So it should be quite an even fight.
Gearoid Veale and John Wood there. Now let's meet them in the flesh. Gemma.
Yeah, no, I can't. Honestly, I can't wait for this one. I really, really can't wait. I'm clearly impartial. I've just got such a soft spot for John. Gearoid, like a really kind of rising star on the chess circuit. His chess is improving with every fight. Gave a really good account of himself last time, and I think this could be quite an interesting one.
Yeah, Gemma, let's meet them.
Thank you, guys. So next in the ring, our next chess boxer claims to be so attractive that he sends men, women and large mammals into a zombie-like state of lust. So, or something. He also works in a supermarket and claims that his chess boxing specialism is flirting. Well, that's just inspired me to do all my shopping online. In the black corner, Gearoid Sex Appeal Veale. Our second fighter was a bricklayer for 20 years. He also juggled bricks in a travelling circus in the southern states of America under the pseudonym Stanley Two Bricks. I guess 3 were too many. In the white corner, John the Brick Wood. Standing at 180 centimetres tall with an ELO of 1,500. His record is 1 fight, 1 win. In the black corner, weighing at 71 kilograms, Gearoid Sex Appeal Veale. Standing at 176 centimetres tall with a chess boxing record of 3 fights, 1 win and 2 losses, and an ELO of 1,100 in the white corner, weighing at 68 kilograms, John the Brick Wood. Let's hear it for both our fighters, Gearoid Veale and John Wood.
Matt, I know you are a John Wood fan. But let me say this: sex appeal Veale, it may be a COVID-free zone, but I can feel the pheromones from here.
Absolutely. Thank God that we have a perspex wall in the vicinity. Otherwise, things could get pretty heated, I can tell you. Also, an entrance by a fighter wearing glasses, always appreciated. We had it with Brian earlier as well. I think it really encapsulates someone coming out wearing boxing garb and glasses. I think is a great analogue for what's wonderful about this sport. The combo of brains and brawn.
The dichotomy really is captured there. And John, muted entrance by his stand. Normally, he plays on the brick moniker by actually throwing bricks, plastic bricks, into the crowd. We look ready to go.
Am I also the only one who thinks that this could be seen as a fight between a man and his future self?
I mean, John, in great shape for 62. Gear does have a bit of John about him, actually. They're both sporting lockdown doos still. But let's turn our attention to the board. What's going on here, Matt?
So we have a Sicilian defence. John playing the slightly more closed move, d3. So the kind of structure he might go for now would involve an early g3 and bishop g2. So black hitting out with d5 immediately here. So John has to make a decision. He can leave the pawn where it is. He's playing knight c3. So now black can gain a tempo against the knight. He can move the pawn forward, forcing the knight to move, which is a perfectly decent approach. But he's playing knight c6. Actually, really solid start by John so far.
Yeah.
A huge improvement on last time.
So close Sicilian you're saying. Basically, the Sicilian is characterised by those 2 first moves, e4 in front of the king's pawn for white, and then c5 for black. It's renowned as being combative, which is why what John did, which is playing a slightly more cautious, closed move. Oh, hang on. I'll break off there.
John with an early mistake. So black moved his pawn forward, attacking the knight, and John has just completely missed it. John has missed it, and I'm surely black is just going to capture the knight here. John,
he was playing a good game up until then.
He was. I think black is just winning now.
But anything can happen in chess, as we've seen so many times. It's the last mistake that decides the game, not the first one.
It is, and it's a great philosophy. I feel devastated. Really, it's one of those kind of nervy moves that can creep in when playing chess for the first time in a while. Particularly when you're not a regular player, you don't have that sort of like riding a bicycle effect. So really, what black wants to be doing now is not take too many risks. When you're material up, swapping pieces off is a good idea. Don't open up the position unnecessarily. So if you get to a position where white suddenly has a big attack, even if you're still winning, that's a lot less good than if you can keep it relatively close, swap off some pieces. Because currently John's got his pieces out, which is great, but he's not really threatening anything. So currently black's extra piece should be the difference maker.
Should be. But if you're John here, what you should be doing as well is just keep calm. Know that if you can make a mistake like that, your opponent, who is of roughly similar strength, I would say, looking at their chess ratings, could well make a similar mistake. So I would, don't get disheartened. Just keep playing your natural game and wait for your chance to come.
Yeah, so John's played this move d4 here, which is it's a pawn sacrifice in that black has got 4 pieces attacking that square and John only has 3. But what I like about that is it increases the scope of that dark squared bishop on a3, because if black were to capture on d4, which he has, that bishop is biting down that diagonal.
And the bell is gone. Yeah, I like that concept. I mean, if you're a piece down, a pawn, we always say, is roughly 3 pawns to a piece. So if you're -3, as it were, then you may as well chuck another 1 onto the fire to give yourself a bit more scope of activity, because that increases the chance of the blunder coming back in return. So, clearly a 1 position for black here, but some way to go in this one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think a good pragmatic decision for John after the early blunder. I think d4 increases the scope of the light squared bishop as well, in a scenario where the light squares could theoretically become a weakness for black, and he's slightly ahead in development as well. So no, I think John has played sensibly given the early calamity. As you say, I mean, black is technically winning, but if John can get a bit of an advantage in the boxing, land a couple of blows, maybe we'll get that classic Jaffa effect. Maybe Gearoid will blunder a piece or two, maybe you'll fall into mate. I mean, such is the joy of chess boxing. As you say, it's lots of swings and roundabouts and really anything can happen.
Jaffa's everywhere, but again, they're getting ready for under boxing here. I've not seen sex appeal in the ring before. So I'm looking forward to my first look at him. John, we've seen fight a couple of times before. And John fighting quite classically. Left hand. He just concentrates on trying to establish that early on. Gearoid taking a look, seeing what John's offering, staying moving, so he's trying not to present too much of a static target, but not too much coming back from him yet.
And compared to the previous fight between Ripper Riley and No Slack Mac, it's, whilst not a cautious start, it's certainly a little bit more circumspect.
Although, having said that, John did land a good right there that he almost felt in his own hand, I think.
Get him moving!
But yeah, there's less power on show here with both of these. You can see they're light men, so the level of danger is perhaps a little bit less. And they're both looking to see who can... Oh, but a good right to the body there from John.
Yeah.
I like that. John's bringing a bit of power, actually. I've not seen this from him much before, but I like this.
Yeah, no, John, I mean, John, as we've discussed many times before, with a physique that certainly doesn't belie his age. He's fit, he's wiry, he's sort of, he's got a good range of movement as well, right? He's not the kind of person you can imagine is going to come under a quick shellacking, as it were.
I mean, look at the footwork as well. Just look at... John's very light on his feet. You really, if it were not for the slightly greying beard, you would not be able to tell who was the 62-year-old, who was the 31-year-old. Literally twice the age there.
That's some quality maths, Chris. Certainly checks out.
I did take a slight pause there to check that one, but I confirmed that was indeed correct.
So, who's going to be... We've got 9 seconds left. Who's going to be happier at the end of this round?
You've got to be happy for John. I think good work there from Gearoid at the end. But I think John landed a couple of good power punches. Nice to see them touching gloves at the end. But that is one of the best rounds I've seen from John, actually. There's a good right to the body, a couple of good rights to the head as well after he'd established jab. Although he is looking like he's holding his right-hand shoulder a little bit there. I do wonder if he's slightly pulled. I wonder if he's pulled something, but interesting. Maybe if we can take a little listen at what the coaches are saying there, what advice they have, because this is a crucial period.
You did brilliant at the start of that round. Absolutely awesome. Okay, then just slow down a little bit. All right, so get that breathing back inside.
Coach get some tactical advice on the upcoming boxing.
And actually, one of the joys of us as a lockdown audience is, I mean, without people in the venue, you can actually hear what the corner men and women are saying as well, can't you, Chris? Which is often very, very insightful. But it means that us as commentators have to be a little bit careful what we say. Well, particularly you, with your legitimate strategic and tactical insight into the boxing.
I think it's more that I could say something that would offend somebody, and there would be calling me out back into the ring, which I certainly don't want. But it's interesting to hear what you can't normally hear. It's a bit like football. I know people have enjoyed listening to Pep Guardiola's tactical talks during the drinks break. Similar level of tactical expertise in our cornermen here, no doubt. But we must focus on the board now. Matt, remind us where we left off at after round one.
So John Wood is a piece down, having committed an unforced error, allowing the capture of a knight on c3. But what he's done since then, he's sacrificed a pawn to open up the board to increase the scope of his bishops. And as a reminder, when you've got a worse position, sometimes opening it up can be the way to increase complications and to increase your practical chances. So I think it was a good decision by John.
John with the move. Yeah, he's thinking there.
And he's captured the pawn, which I think is surely the correct decision here.
Yeah, there's a logical follow-up there.
Yeah, so some interesting options here for black, because actually white is threatening the move pawn d5 here. So yeah, I think knight takes is probably forced. And now what John wants to, I think, avoid is the trade of queens, I would say.
Yeah,
so I think
that's the most powerful piece on the board. You want to keep that on to preserve the attacking chances that you may have if you manage to unbalance the position.
Yeah, I mean, I think trading queens, if, for instance, you can get in a quick bishop b5 check, would potentially be really strong, because actually there's a scenario where black can't play bishop to d6. Oh no.
That is the Jaffa.
No, that is,
that is
gosh.
an absolute Jaffa. He's just left his queen hanging, Matt.
Yeah, but no! But Jay missed it. He took with the queen. He could have taken with the bishop, and he would have been a queen up for nothing, and it would have been game over.
A classic instance of mutual blindness there.
Goodness.
I've seen this happen.
Also, sorry, so Chris, what happens now if you play? I mean, we'll come back to that again, but I mean, an absolutely calamitous exchange of errors. And now after rook to d1, there's a scenario where John follows up with bishop b5 check. And actually, black is in a huge amount of trouble. So if he goes bishop back to g7, bishop to b5 is more or less winning, because you'd have to play bishop d7 to block the... So, ladies and gentlemen, if you move your bishop away, the one that's attacked, to say g7 in front of the knight, then you've got bishop b5 check. The king can't move to the left because of the dart square bishop. No, but that's a better move.
It's blocked off the bishop's diagonal.
Yeah, so
what about bishop b2 here? I mean, then f6.
Yeah, I think black has survived this.
I would have played bishop b2 there, kept the bishop on the board.
I completely agree. You know, fundamentally create another weakness in the black defence by forcing this move f6 and keeping pieces on when your material down tends to be better. Bishop f2 is unfortunately not a good move. I think John's lack of the sort of relative lack of chess experience is starting to tell a bit here, because. I feel for him, because out of nowhere came a little bit of an opportunity, a sort of a small chink in black's armour. Now, bishop c5 was an important move, not to let the game really swing back in white's favour.
Absolutely, that was a dangerous moment there, and we should definitely return to that. But we've already seen a couple of quite major errors in this round. I don't think that will be the last of them either.
No, I mean, a real calamity. And again, e5... Sorry, we'll come back to that again. I mean, e5 unfortunately is not quite the right idea. Swapping off bishops, allowing black to create a weakness in white's defence. I mean, what black can do now is play knight to e7, and it's too solid for him to have any real problems. John still has relatively active rooks, but if black can swap off a pair of rooks, then it's game over. There's no activity for white. I mean, what white's only hope is to get his rooks so active that it causes problems and on the 7th rank, so the rank in front of black's king. But no, I mean, queen takes d4, and then followed by the immediate queen takes d4. Black had obviously just prepared to exchange queens. He missed that he could win the queen for nothing.
It often happens that you've kind of accepted that a trade is going to happen, and then when your opponent doesn't quite play the right move order, you kind of have a slight brain short circuit and don't see the obvious error that was there. So it was the mutual immediate trade of mistakes there. Then that interesting spell where there was potentially a sort of what we call a snap mate almost on the board out of nowhere, that actually Gearoid did very well to see. But we should look back to the ring now as Ronaldo's about to bring them together.
Yeah, and this could be a really important boxing round, couldn't it? Because I think John needs to have a really good round here, doesn't he? He needs to put himself in a position where either he's going to win at the boxing or force a mistake in the chess, in a position where there aren't that many mistakes left on the board.
Yeah, and John was coming out strongly there again with a 1-2 that forced Gearoid to hold on a little bit. So John. Oh, yeah, throwing the right there as well. John is bringing the power punches. I like to see that, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I think him sort of going back into a shell would have been certainly not the right idea here, I think. But once again, I mean, Gearoid Veale could have, again, very, very upright, very unflappable. Slightly more aggressive. Is it fair to say slightly more aggressive this time round?
He's still not looking to bring much other than the jab. It's a fairly safety-first approach, although he's working a little bit on the inside there. But basically, if you are up in the chest, then you don't want to take too many risks. That said, he does have John pinned there. John does well to pivot away from the ropes. You never want to be on the ropes with your opponent unloading. And John does look to be gassing a bit now. Perhaps age starting to finally catch up with him. He's holding on a bit there. You can see he's quite open-mouthed as well. John is struggling a bit with the pace of this one now. 40 seconds left in the round.
Yeah, and I guess here, this is where the age tells, doesn't it? I mean, it's a horrendous cliche. Clearly, if I were to fight Terry Marsh, he would obliterate me both in terms of quality and in fitness. But by and large, when you've got two chess boxers who've been here before, know what they're doing, over time, the older man will flag first.
Yeah, however, John's doing very well just to hold on here. That's what you want to do. If you're really struggling in a round, then you're just trying to eat up time, and John was certainly doing that. He's going to get through. He's going to get through to the end of the round, and he's going to have to try and force the pace on the chess.
But survival might not be enough, right, Chris?
Survival not enough. He's done well. It seemed to come from nowhere, actually, the suddenly feeling that turn, because he started off well in that round, as he'd done in the first round. I think he's really feeling the pace and perhaps struggling with the lack of the crowd. He's a real crowd favourite, a favourite amongst himself. Yeah. I think he does feed off that energy a little bit to stave off some of the tiredness. You can see his open mouth there, really sucking in deep gasps of oxygen. He will appreciate this extra time while the chessboard is being brought back in.
Breathe up, start breathing.
Yeah, my feeling is that it's not quite enough. I think, conscious of the proximity to the boxers in the ring, I'm going to whisper here, ladies and gentlemen.
You've done two, this is the third, you've got
what I think
the chest to go, and then you've got one more, okay?
I think Black needs to avoid a situation where White's rooks either become incredibly active on the D file or incredibly active on the 7th rank, preventing an exchange of rooks. There's a scenario whereby the Black Knight gets in the way of the King. At the same time, the King is relatively safe in G7, and there's quite a few safety-first approaches here which might not win any prizes in computer chess, but would probably win the game for Black.
Yep.
What White doesn't want to do, and this is the thing that I'm a bit worried about when it comes to John's chess, and I think this is an experience thing. John has gone for the forcing moves a little bit too frequently, and I think if presented with a rook exchange, I'm a bit concerned he's going to go for it, and I think one exchange of rooks is basically game over unless Black makes a horrendous error.
There's certainly a tendency to want to go. I mean, I've been guilty of this a lot in my chess in the past, to want to go for the clearest move that involves the least calculation.
Yes.
And that is often the exchange, which you don't want to be doing here, material down. As you say, keep those rooks on, maybe look to penetrate to the 7th, if he can.
But we've not. Black hasn't moved his king yet, has he? I've just realised, although the king came under a temporary barrage, he hasn't moved, which means now, after 97, Black can castle kingside, a move that's famed for getting the king into safety, and absolutely the right plan here. So I like rook d3 a lot. I like it a lot. I think that's very sensible. It means you can double up rooks on the d file. You can also move it to c3 and attack the pawn as well. Okay, good stuff from John. Nice early manoeuvring.
And now, would you just kick that knight away with c4?
Yeah, I suspect you have to. Now the knight isn't coming back quickly to d4, which was potentially an issue with it being on. He's played it. He's played it. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff from John there.
I might go knight b6 here, just as the safety move.
Yeah, I mean, I think knight b6, actually knight e7 coming into f5. I think because f5 is the best square for the knight there. So the knight on f4 looks relatively threatening. I mean, potentially knight to e2 check and then knight back to d4, just shoring things up a bit.
Yeah, but I think Gearoid may have been a bit flustered by the penetration of the rook to his 7th, as I was signalling at the start of the round. I think when you have a rook landing there, you're aware that there can be some dangerous possibilities on that rank against your king. I do wonder if that's going to fluster Gearoid a bit.
Yeah, rook e7, perhaps not quite the right idea. I suspect that rook to c7, hitting the pawn, was the best move. But I mean, oh no, it's checkmate. There's a checkmate in 2 on the board. Oh my God, black has rook to b1 check. Has he played it? He's played it. He's played it. Rook to b1 check, and now the rook has to go back, and it's checkmate. The knight, a hidden property of the knight on f4, was it's covering g2. It's checkmate in 1 move, so rook back, and rook takes rook is checkmate. And we have ourselves a winner, Chris.
It's over.
Oh my goodness
Over
me.
on the chessboard.
Oh my giddy aunt.
John's recognised it. Yep, that... It looked like John was possibly getting back into it there. And then he'd forgotten that he too could be attacked.
He left his back rank weak. I think again, it was an experience thing. The kind of quick pattern recognition, the notion that your back rank can be left a little bit open, even with the space in front of king, means that Gearoid Veale has obtained a fantastic victory here. Actually, not as smooth as it might have been.
Over to Gemma to announce the result there formally.
So we have a winner with checkmate, Gearóid Sex Appeal Veale.
There we go, our first checkmate of the evening. It's a knockout and a checkmate. That one happened in quick order. What happened there, Matt?
Well, I mean, the game felt like it was going to be characterised by this early piece blunder by John the Brickwood, playing white, who left his c3 knight on pre, and then he ended up blundering a queen, which black didn't see, and then weirdly enough he had this phenomenal attack, which was 1 move away from being absolutely perfect. But black actually played very sensibly. John a little bit careless, even though he made some really, really great aggressive overtures. And in the end, he blundered again, and Gearoid got mate.
Exciting back and forth. Let's go back to Gemma there to interview our victor, Gearoid Veale.
Well done, Sex Appeal. First of all, you have to talk me through that nickname. What is that about?
Incredibly ironic, I think. It's like, what's the opposite of me? And then,
Don't be so hard on yourself. I love it. It's brilliant. How did you find getting back in the ring after such a long break?
Delighted to get back. I didn't think, I had to pull out of 2 events the last 2 times, and I thought I'll never get back again. But getting the rust off, getting back in, couldn't beat it. Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, and the boxing was it was all touch and go, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. John's a very skillful boxer. You know, I knew as the second round went on, he was getting more and more tired. Though, I think I had him by the end of the second round.
Yeah. And how are you feeling about your victory?
Good. Last time I fought John, I think he won the boxing and I won the chess. And this time, boxing's a lot more even. I was happy with my boxing performance. So, yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, John was a lot better at chess as well. I was surprised how my position was very open at one stage, and I thought I might actually be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, I spotted after the first bout of boxing, you both made a couple of howlers by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
But did you enjoy being back?
I did, yeah, I loved it, yeah.
All right, well, I think we can let you go. Great. So thank you very much. Well done again on your victory. And we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, hopefully. All right,
Bye.
thank you.